the worst category for pardons, I think, as bad as look, the corruption, the shooting is terrible, but it has to be the war criminals. So we've got 4 Blackwater guards, Nicholas Slatton, Paul Slow, Evan Liberty, and Dustin Hurd, convicted by a federal jury back in 2014 after a lengthy trial that saw some 30 witnesses travel from Iraq to testify against them. Prosecutors accused the men of illegally unleashing powerful sniper fire, machine guns, and grenade launchers on innocent men, women, and children, just killing a ton of people in a situation that they should have never been in. Okay, now we're not gonna go like super in depth because we've got a lot to cover, but you do need to know that like at the time, it was described this way: in killing and maiming unarmed civilians, these defendants acted unreasonably and without justification. In combination, the sheer amount of unnecessary human loss and suffering attributed to the defendant's criminal conduct on September 16, 2007 is staggering. And you can find out information about the victims and their family members coming forward. Kids were massacred for no reason. Whole cars of unarmed civilians that were destroyed by heavy weaponry that should have never even been in the area. But these are the sorts of people, like with those Border Patrol agents, the right loves cases like this. They lobby hardcore for cases like this. We're gonna have an example of that actually in just a second, but JR wanted to give you a chance to respond.
So these war criminals, murderers, of course, are his biggest prize in this wave of pardons. But if we just saw just over a week and a half ago, the execution put place for Brandon Bernard for that murder he was a part of when he was 17 or 18 years old. And there was a big news story about that. And that went through. Trump's got 4 or 5 more pardons set to go before he leaves office. Again, that goes against precedent that presidents don't do these executions as they're coming out of office.
Yeah.
He's gonna oversee 13 executions since just July for the rest of this year, which is again, breaks all barriers from previously. So he's going hard with these executions, but people who murdered other folks, he executed people as part of one murder. These other murderers, just because it was of the right kind of people for him, or was the right kind of situation for him, that's okay, let's pardon them. War criminals, and then normal criminals who are participating in murders here, let's kill them. Let's hurry up and get this taken care of. It's all political. Yeah. It's like politically I can look good if I pardon them, but politically I can still look good to all the people who hate, who want to say I'm a law and order guy and hate every person who is in prison now. So I can kill them, but I can pardon these folks. It's not by mistake. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, I know some people might be thinking that, oh man, this is horrific. The idea that he can pardon these people and just expect that it's just gonna slide by and we're not gonna notice. No, that would be horrific, but this is worse. He doesn't want it to slide by unnoticed. He wants the right to see him taking people who go to the Middle East and murder civilians, Border Patrol agents who unnecessarily try to gun down immigrants and then try to cover it up. They want this. Like, it is very difficult. And I understand that this sort of thing, there are really hard truths that turn people away from politics, but you need to understand what we're up against. This is a movement that worships killers of particular sorts of people. Like, people in the chat I see are asking about a possible pardon of Kyle Rittenhouse. That is apparently not a possibility because as of right now, he faces state level charges and there's nothing Trump can do about that. If he could, it is possible, and maybe they'll find other examples of people like him. I don't know. Like, imagine are there federal charges against the militia members that were trying to kidnap the governor of Michigan? No. I don't know, but his side loves this. They want to see it. I want to give you an example of this. This is not just a thing where it's like 4chan will be excited or Breitbart will be excited. Here is one of the people on Fox News ecstatic about the news as it was announced.
I would note also the Blackwater contractors, and if you look at that story of Raven 23 and how it was misconstrued against those guys, God bless the president for having the courage, which a lot of other presidents wouldn't do, to pardon those men, those veterans who were there defending diplomats, put in an impossible situation.
Let me just add one more thing if I.
No, they were supposed to be defending diplomats. They chose to put themselves in a position and then react in a way that is unconscionable, killing unarmed civilians, destroying children. The idea that there should be no consequences for that is a position that only people like Pete Hegseth who, by the way, this is not the first group of war criminals he's advocated for. A couple of years ago, Trump pardoned another war criminal who went to the Middle East, killed civilians unnecessarily, willingly, totally not even in a combat situation, just murdered someone that was being detained. These are the sorts of people that they lift up. They want killers. Like there's just no equivalent. Like there's nobody we worship on the left for the violence they inflict on groups that we oppose. That's just not how we approach the world. But that is the way a significant portion of the right approaches the world. They don't just oppose documents, they want violence and brutality against undocumented immigrants. The whole thing about the cops, the social movement that we've seen this year, we've been horrified by the violence of the cops, running people down with their cars, brutalizing people. The right has loved every bit of that. Like, you really need to understand that we are going to try to accomplish our goals, but we are going up against people who would love to see us brutalized. If somebody busted into TYT studios right now and started shooting, you don't think there'd be people on the right that'd be happy about that? I know that's dark. That is a very dark place, but that is 100% true.
And it's happened. Let's keep it real, where people advocate for that stuff. Again, you brought up the militia members who wanted to kidnap the governor of Michigan and execute her on camera. So again, we didn't hear anything about how he's condemning them and how could they, and anti-American, they're called patriots. These are the folks that we call patriots. This is what they think patriotism is for this country, because there's kinds of killers. The ones that support their agenda are patriots. The ones who don't are criminals. It's just somehow killing is this thing that we can put into two different lumps. And it's okay when you just do it indiscriminately, as long as you're part of Blackwater and you're in a foreign country, killing people who you don't think deserve to exist. That's okay. And one more thing. So Pete Hegseth said, "Thank God bless him for doing this." There's God again popping up again. How does God have anything to do with blessing someone who is pardoning people who murdered innocent people? Is God a part of that? Which part of the Bible said that? And then God said, murder those Middle Eastern folks because they don't matter. Which part of God has to do with this? Again, it's such a normal statement to just throw in there. God bless someone. God bless them. Why is it God bless them? Just be like, how about Pete bless them? Pete Hegseth bless them, because you're the bad guy who's endorsing this type of behavior, not God. God's not speaking here.
Yeah, look, it ain't my God, it ain't my religion. But you can say we need soldiers for national security, and I'm glad about that. Whatever, you can do that. You can't say that God would sanction literally any of this. Certainly not the New Testament God, at the very least. You think that they were in a difficult situation? They could have not been there. They could have not been in that situation. They could have not pulled the trigger. And you might say, well, they were scared for their own lives. Okay, I think that Jesus might have expected you to take on some personal risk rather than killing unarmed children. I think maybe that's what Jesus would have landed on. And yeah, as someone pointed out in the Twitch chat, by the way, Trump is holding up these Blackwater mercenaries as heroes, but the people in Normandy who died, in that case, seeming to really believe that they were defending America against the worst political movement in the history of our planet, they were losers and suckers. So we have an idea. It's not that he has one view of soldiers. His view of soldiers based on what they're doing. Dying against the Nazis, loser and sucker. Murdering civilians in Iraq, heroes. It's actually pretty simple. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.